Hello, is this thing on? All right, I think this is working. We'll see. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Emmanuel, which will be pretty evident. And I can't believe how many people signed up for this thing, which is a little overwhelming. But first of all, I just wanted to begin with a huge, huge thank you to everyone who read my article about all my experiments with marketing automation. And thank you as well for giving me an hour of your Saturday to walk you through exactly how I have it set up. So this is what's going to happen. First of all, I'm going to just point out a few things about the webinar interface. I'm just going to walk you through how to ask questions, stuff like that. And then what I'm going to do next is take you behind the scenes on the various tools I have, to like show you pretty much how I have things set up. And finally, I will get to your questions. So all throughout, please feel free to send me your questions, and I might answer some of them while I'm talking about the particular tool. But most likely, I will save that until the third and last part of the presentation, which is the Q&A. So let's jump right into it. So the first part is how the webinar software works. So if you look to your top right, wait, I'm actually not sure where right is for you guys. But if you look at the top right, you will probably see a number of icons. So that's where you can chat with me. That's where you can also see some of the resources I'll be throwing your way. So pretty much everything you want to do, you can do at the top right of the screen. So it's pretty straightforward. And if anyone wants to throw a few questions my way now, that's totally cool. But again, I probably will be answering most of the questions near the end. I'm using Demio, and I will actually probably write updates the article to talk about Demio. I chose Demio because it's pretty straightforward. Pretty easy to use. So far, so good. I just topped up my internet, so let's hope this goes well. I apologize in advance if things. I apologize in advance if things aren't as smooth as we'd like, but so far so good, and fingers crossed. Okay, so apparently the settings are bottom right for some folks. Look either at the top right or bottom right, and you should see the chat and other settings. Also, I'm just curious, what's the volume like for you folks? So I'm putting the mic pretty close to my mouth, but let me know if you need me to speak louder. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and jump to the first tool, which is Medium. Share screen. Okay. Oh, also one last thing I forgot to mention. So this live call is being recorded. So if you need to run away for any reason, I will definitely be sending out a recording of the entire thing. Don't worry if you need to duck out after a few minutes. Cool. All right. Screen sharing. How does screen sharing work? Give me one sec. Okay. Okay, so I think I am sharing my screen. Can someone let me know if you can see my screen? So I'll just just shout out at me if screen sharing is working. Can you guys see my screen? Just want to make double sure. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like screen sharing is working. My goodness, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how well this is working. Just like I'm just waiting for like my internet to stop. But so far so good. Okay, so what we're going to do first is Medium. So most of you guys might have heard of Medium. It's fine if you haven't. So Medium is a free publishing tool. Anyone in the world can go on to Medium oh, sorry, I should be looking here. Everyone in the world can go on Medium and create an account. But what you can also do is you can also get a custom domain, attach that to your Medium publication. So that's what I've done. So you realize if I go to the Flint.io, that connects directly to the Flint website. And the way I'm doing that is I am using a Medium custom domain. Like a lot of other publications do that now. So I believe the Ringa is one other publication that does similarly. I actually just came across a Ghanaian uh, media team. I believe it's Gold Coast. I forget the name. But pretty much like it's exactly what it sounds like. So I really wanted to launch the Flint really quickly. So I didn't waste a ton of time building a custom website. I Q&A. So I went ahead and bought a custom domain. I believe it cost about $75 one time, and connected it to the Flint. I like Medium for now. It's pretty intuitive. The great thing about it is like all the basics I have down. So like the title, a description. It's pretty straightforward. The homepage, I have a fair amount of ability to customize. Give me a sec. So things like color, things like graphics, things like the sections. Let me pull up. Sorry. So yeah, this is the Ringa. The Ringa is an American media publication, and that also is also built on top of Medium. Yeah, so pretty much I have a fair amount of control about how things are laid out. It serves my needs now, but like I mentioned in the article, at some point I definitely will be moving towards my own publication. Sorry, my own custom website, which will likely be built on Craft CMS. I'm obsessed with Craft. I haven't talked about Craft anywhere, but trust, over the next few weeks I will be rambling about Craft for many months. But in the meantime, just know that Craft CMS is amazing. If you're trying to build a website, you should definitely be looking at Craft. Okay. So yeah, let me go to the homepage. Okay, so this is what the homepage settings looks like, right? I have the option of making it look like this. I can make it look like that. I can make it look like this. I can make the call to action say different things. So right now I've made it so that the featured story comes way on top. Then right afterwards, I have a section for the popular story. And then at the end, I have all the other previous stories. And I have a fair amount of flexibility about how to lay things out. So this is why I went with Medium. So pretty straightforward. If you aren't already writing on the internet, I highly recommend, or in general, you should be doing so, because I think all of us have great stories to tell. But if you are thinking about jumping into writing, I can highly recommend Medium. At some point, once again, I will be moving away from Medium. It's great for the beginning, but I want more. I want a lot more customization, and I think that'll become a lot more evident when I'm talking about drip. But so far so good. Pretty pleased with Medium. And if you have any questions about how I have the Flint set up on Medium, please throw it into the chat and I'll answer them during the Q&A. Okay. Cool. So just checking in. Can everyone still hear me? Just throw me a chat and let me know if we're still good. Okay, so after Medium, I want to talk about Upscribe. So Upscribe is I can scroll down and show you actually. So Upscribe is the thing I'm using to collect email addresses right from inside the article. So if I scroll all the way down, 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 all the way down. Give it a second. So this thing here. right? So it has the headline, it has a description, and it has a field where people can enter their email addresses. So this thing is Upscribe. So let's just go into Upscribe. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This is what obviously you saw. This is exactly what the Upscribe form looks like. I believe for $10 a month, you can have like nifty features like customizing the colors. Let's go into edits, right? Customizing the colors, adding a logo, adding a background, and also requesting first and last name. For now, I'm just using it to accept email addresses. So this is something I'm playing with. In the past, I've used an image that links to my subscribe page, but I'm trying to see if having the form embedded right in the article improves conversions. So yeah, honestly, it's a pretty sweet tool. Once you create the Upscribe form, you just copy this URL and throw it right inside of Medium, and it just pops up. The form just pops up. I mean, I can show you what it looks like. So I'm copying. Go away. Okay. Now let me edit. On the article, throw in the link, and the form, that nifty little form should show up. So Medium is chugging along. Give me 1 second. So there really isn't much to say about Upscribe. Well, okay, I guess like the only other thing is Upscribe has a number of integrations. So I'm using Drip. Again, I'm really excited to talk about Drip. But pretty much the integrations make it so that when someone enters their email address instead of Upscribe, Upscribe knows where to send that email address. So you can either choose to have the emails sitting on Upscribe, so you can download an Excel CSV later, or you can do like I'm doing and enter an integration so that when an email address comes into Upscribe, it gets sent somewhere else. So I'm using Upscribe right now to send the emails that come through the Flint articles directly to Drip. And in addition to sending emails to Drip, you can see I can choose the campaign that I want to be triggered when when I send an email address to there. And again, we will go into what campaigns are with Drip. So that's pretty much it for Upscribe. Well, I can show you how easy it is to throw in. So I am. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you do it, right? So you saw how I threw in the Upscribe URL, and when you give it a second to save, it just pops out the form. Okay, so I'm going to delete this now. Cool. Okay, so that is Upscribe. The next tool I want to touch on is Instapage. So Instapage is one I am super excited about. So I was looking for a way to just have subscribe.theflint.io, which seems like a really simple thing to want, but it ended up being more difficult than I expected, because like one of the drawbacks of Medium is Medium doesn't let you create subfolders. So if I wanted like the flint.io / something, that's not something that Medium would let you do, for now at least. So I needed to find something else. I looked at Lead Pages, which is another really popular landing page tool. Also looked at Instapage and ended up going with Instapage. And let me show you what that interface looks like. Okay, so this is what the subscribe page looks like on Instapage. If you want to check it out, just subscribe.theflint.io. And it's literally as easy as it looks. So if I want this logo moving elsewhere, I literally just drag and drop it. It's that simple. it's kind of insane how easy it is to use Instapage. It's a shame it's so expensive. Well, relatively expensive. Uh, because like if it were a little cheaper, it would definitely be my go-to. Like put a page on the internet together tool. But it's such a delight to use. If you are trying to put together a landing page, I highly suggest it. And yeah, so like this was just like a few minutes, maybe 30 minutes of work to put together. You'll see that there are also sort of like pretty nifty advanced tools. So say if I wanted to change the font of the paragraph, like you saw how easy the dials change. Let me just go back to Fira. If I wanted the headlines to look different, that is very easy to change as well. I think a lot of tools promise what you see is what you get. Instapage is one of the few that I've used and experienced that really comes through on that promise. And there are also all sorts of more complicated or like more advanced functions. So this is one I like a lot. So you know how sometimes when you post a link to Facebook, like the default thing that shows up can look really pretty for some websites, right? So Instapage lets you define what shows up when you share an Instapage page to social media. So I've defined that when you share this page to Facebook, this is what the headline is going to be, this is what the description is going to be, and this is the image that's going to share with it. I've used other tools that either don't let you do this at all, or that make it like pretty difficult to find. And again, Instapage is one of the few that makes everything really, really simple. So again, like I'm really big on really simple tools. Like none of this is rocket science. All of this is like really simple. All it takes is for someone to point it out to you. I cannot recommend Instapage enough. The funky thing about Instapage for me, though, is that it doesn't integrate directly with Drip, which was like a pain for me. So let me show you. Okay, let me try and find this again. Okay, so here are the integrations. So Instapage integrates pretty nicely with like a whole bunch of different tools, Aweber, Marketo, HubSpot, Zapier, like all the way through. Like you can see Drip. I can see Drip isn't one of them. And so I am having to hack together a pipeline from Instapage to Drip using MailChimp. So what I'm doing is when someone sends in their customer information through Instapage, I send it to MailChimp. So you can see this is how I have my MailChimp stuff set up. It's really simple. So I send all the information to MailChimp, and then from MailChimp I use Zapier, and I'll talk about Zapier briefly. I use Zapier to send the subscriber information from MailChimp all the way to Drip. So that's how I'm doing it. I mean, there are more elegant workarounds, but those workarounds require paying a lot more money to Instapage, and I'm already putting up a fair bit. So this is the cheapest, hackiest way I found to work around it. If you know a better way of doing this, please let me know. Oh, and so the reason why I wanted subscribe .theflint.io. So I know in future I'm probably not going to be using Instapage. I'm going to have that URL like on my own website. But I'm in the process of sharing that subscribe from all over the internet. So I want it to be that if and when I move to a different solution, that URL remains the same. So when I was launching the Flint, the URL I was using was a Mailchimp sign up form. And this means that at some point when I stop using Mailchimp completely, all those URLs aren't going to work. So I would much rather like moving forward, I would much rather just use subscribe.theflint.io everywhere. So that's why it's also important for me to be able to set up that solution sooner rather than later. Cool. So I am going to go away, TechCrunch. What's next? So I've talked about Medium. I've talked about Upscribe. I've talked about Instapage. Okay, Zapier. Okay. Um, so Zapier is was one of those like nifty tools that once you know about it, like it's like completely amazing. So all that Zapier lets you do is connect things on the internet to each other, right? Like it's really as straightforward as it sounds like. So I'm using Zapier for all sorts of things. Like so like let's look at the top few options here. So I'm using Zapier to make it so that when I add a new contact to Google Contacts, because I have my phone set up so that when I add a new contact, it goes to Google Contacts. When I add that contact to Google Contacts, I use Zapier to send that information from Google Contacts to my CRM, which I'm using Highrise for. I'm doing the same with Twitter. So if someone tweets at me, I use Zapier to make it so that it logs that tweet inside of my CRM, so that in future, if I flesh that person's profile out, I have a timeline of all my interactions with them, including tweets. I'm using this for different projects. I'm using a tool called Webflow, and I'm using Zapier to connect Webflow to Mailchimp. So give me one sec. Okay, let me refresh this. So I'm using Zapier to connect, like I mentioned, I'm using Zapier to connect Mailchimp to Drip, right? So this is what it looks like. So when you are creating, so these connections are called zaps, right? So to create the zap, first I need to connect my Mailchimp, which I do, and then I say that the zap triggers when a new subscriber is added to a Mailchimp list. So remember, I'm collecting an email and first name and last name from Instapage, sending it to Mailchimp, and so this rule is saying that when a new subscriber is added to a Mailchimp list, do something. So next, okay, so that's my Mailchimp account. And then I specify the list on Mailchimp that I want to be collecting information from. Yeah, so that's set up. So the next thing is to specify what happens after a new subscriber hits Mailchimp. So I'm saying that after a new subscriber hits Mailchimp, which is the trigger, do this. And what this is do something with Drip. So I've connected it to Drip. I'm creating or updating a subscriber inside of Drip. There we go. And this looks funkier than it actually is. It's pretty straightforward. All I'm saying is that inside of Drip, send that information to an account called the Flint, obviously. And all you're doing, this whole section here, you are just like matching fields. So I'm saying for the email address that I want to send to Drip, collect the email address from Mailchimp. And also here I'm saying the send the first name field from Mailchimp to the first underscore name field inside of Drip. Send the L name field in Mailchimp to the last underscore name field in Drip. So literally just like matching the fields so that the record moves over correctly. I'm tagging the subscribers with a particular tag. I'll explain why inside of Drip. And a time zone. So all I've said here is that this is the information from Mailchimp. move it to drip, and when you move it to drip, put it inside these different buckets. That's all that this is saying. Cool. And the last thing I'm also doing with drip is subscribing everyone to a particular campaign. So I have it set up so that when someone hits drip from MailChimp, it launches a new subscriber onboarding flow. And that's all that's doing here. Yep, that's pretty much it. This last one, I think that's just a test one. I don't think I have anything set up for that, so I'm just going to delete this. Delete, yep. And I'm just going to turn my Zap on. Cool. So that's Zapier. It's really straightforward. The single hardest thing is like logging into the different tools and specifying exactly what you want to happen once they start talking to each other. So that's pretty much it for Zapier. All right. So let me just take 1 second to. Okay. And finally, well, not finally, but the one I'm really excited for is drip. So like I mentioned in the article, drip is very much the beating heart of let me hide this. Very much the beating heart of the like all my marketing automation. I'm using like 1% of the power of drip, and I'm hopeful that over the next few minutes I can just help you understand just how amazing this tool is. So yeah, you're actually looking at my the Flint account inside of drip. We just hit 620 subscribers. Woo! Thank you, everyone. And so when someone becomes a new subscriber, something immediately happens. They get pulled into a campaign. So all a campaign is a series of emails they receive, an automated series of emails they receive over a certain period. Ignore 63 new subscribers. If I had been doing things correctly from the beginning, this number of subscribers would reflect the total number of subscribers I have on the Flint, but I started using it late, so it's just showing a lower number. So yeah, this is a timeline of the number of people who have subscribed over time. So there was a big jump, a big spike a few weeks ago, and so like every day I'm seeing something like 1 to 3 new subscribers. I believe these spikes have to do with the new article I published earlier this week. So every time I publish a new article, I see an uptick in subscribers. Of course, like when you come in, you can see all the subscribers that have subscribed to this campaign. But the most important thing for the campaign is the emails, right? So right now, I have 3 emails set up for my new subscriber onboarding flow. And each email is doing a very specific job. So let me just open the first one. Well, first, like let's look a little longer at the screen. So as you can see here, you can see the 3 emails I'm using for my onboarding. A welcome email, an email that explains what you can expect, and finally an email with the greatest hits, like the most popular articles from the Flint that you might have missed. To the right, you can see a few stats. So in general, the welcome email is opened about 80% of the time. There are very few links in the welcome email, maybe just one. So understand me that there are just a few clicks. I ask a question. So this is what the writing panel looks like for drip. This little thing here, all this says is that if I have the first name of a subscriber, replace the salutation with the name of the subscriber. Otherwise, you just use a default called there. So that's all that's doing. So yeah, so the very first email you get in the campaign says, this is who I am, thank you for subscribing, and then I ask a question. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because that multiple reasons. One of them is that when you reply to someone, your email service, maybe like Gmail or Outlook or whatever, it becomes a lot less likely for your email to mark future emails as spam. So that's one small like motivation for prompting a question, because I want people to reply to me so that it trains their email tool to recognize that this is a person you have a relationship with. But like the bigger reason is I'm genuinely curious. Like I'm genuinely curious what things people care about, and I use this to influence the kinds of stories that I pursue for the Flint. So like those are like the two big reasons why I ask this question. And you can see that it sparks a relatively high number of replies. And I really enjoy replying to every single email that comes in. So all these emails are live. And the very first welcome email is set to publish immediately that someone becomes subscribed. Okay, so the next email is called My Promise to You, and this is very important for me because I want people to understand in advance the kinds of emails they're getting. My style is very earnest, arguably overly earnest, but I want people to be prepared for that. I haven't looked at this copy for very many weeks now. I'll probably go back and tweak it. But all this is saying is that this is what you can expect. It's going to be weird at some point, but don't worry. If you are the kind of person who's into this, you will really enjoy it. And we also really upfront in asking people to unsubscribe. And this is something I really mean. I would much rather have a much smaller email list where everyone is engaged. So I would much rather have like 300 highly engaged subscribers than 10,000 people who never open my email. I push hard to let people unsubscribe if this is not what they're interested in and this is not what they're here for. I think I might even go as far as like deleting people from the email list on a monthly basis if they've not engaged for a while. I'm still thinking through the best way to do that. Drip lets you do that pretty easily. But I'm so serious about the fact that like I want this media product to be providing value. If the emails aren't providing value, I do not want to be spamming your inbox. I would much rather have you unsubscribe and then resubscribe at a later time than keep hitting you with those emails. So that's the job the second email is doing. And then finally, I'm doing a here's I can delete these. I'm doing an email where I highlight like interesting articles you might have missed, because people come to the Flints from various articles. Some of them might have read the case study on Retail Tower. They might have read the article about WhatsApp marketing, or they might have read one about the power bank phone. Just regardless of what story they've encountered in the past, I want them to see these other articles that other people have really enjoyed, because what I want is people reading and learning and sharing. So that is my user onboarding flow for now. This will change multiple times before the end of the year. But one big thing for me for this project is just launching, just like putting something out into the world, no matter how rough it is, and then improving over time. Cool. Okay, so that's for the onboarding. Other nifty things I want to show you guys is for the subscribers. Like one of the things I really enjoy about Drip is the lead scoring. So what lead scoring lets you do is based on certain criteria you define. So let me open up that criteria. Okay, based on certain criteria you define, you can get a sense of how engaged someone is. So again, I'm only using a fraction of Drip's power. As if I had custom pages like the flint.io slash something, I can say that when the person goes to that page like slash store, give them 3 extra points. So this is what this is how I have it set up right now. So every time someone opens an email inside the Flint, sorry, every time someone opens an email from me, they get 1 point. Every time they click an email, sorry, every time they click a URL inside that email, they get 3 points. If someone registers for a webinar, they get 10 points. Because like that is a significant commitment, right? That's an hour of your time. Like that probably means you're highly engaged with what I'm doing. And the lead threshold is 65. So this means that when the person hits 65 points, they flip from being merely a prospect to a lead. And RIP has all sorts of automations around what happens when someone becomes a lead. So let me show you an example. Let me use John. I hope John doesn't mind. Well, John is a friend, so. Sorry. Okay, let me just use my email address. Okay. Okay, so this is my timeline of engagement with the Flint, right? So you can see where I entered more information. So this is showing what happened when someone registered for the webinar. So it's pulling in the additional information like the role at their company and also the company name, right? So this is literally a visual timeline of someone's engagement with my product, all the way to when they received an email, how many minutes later they opened it, and how many times they opened it. You can also go here to see the lead score activity. So again, remember, every time the person opens an email, they get 1 point. So this is +1, +1, +1, all the way down to like, so as soon as you launch, as soon as you become a new subscriber, you automatically get like 30 points like to start with. And these points add up or decrease over time based on your engagement. Okay, so let's go back to subscribers. Cool. Automations are a really nifty, powerful feature inside of Drip. So I really wish I could show you how we have automation set up for my client project, but I don't have permission yet to show that. But at some point, I really hope to do so. But let me show you a really tiny automation I have set up for the Flint. So let's just walk through this. So this can look a little overwhelming. I promise you it's not. All that this is saying is that when someone registers for the webinar via Demio, which is the tool you're using right now, apply a tag called registered for webinar, right? Also apply a tag with the name of the webinar they registered for. So this says apply the registered for webinar, and this just has the whole name of the webinar tag. So in future, if I want to see out of everyone who subscribed to the Flint, how many of them registered for this particular webinar, I can do that quickly with a tag, right? I'm also recording an event. So registered a webinar is an event. And then I'm using this like split decision here. So I'm saying, is this subscriber tagged with a subscriber tag? So this thing I'm doing here is I want to make it so that if someone is a brand new subscriber via the webinar registration, they get an onboarding flow. If they are an existing subscriber to the Flint, nothing happens. So that's what this whole flow is doing, right? So every single person who registers for the webinar gets the webinar tag. But then I'm asking Drip, hey Drip, is this person an existing subscriber? If so, then don't do anything for them. But if they are a brand new subscriber via the registration of the webinar, then apply the subscriber tag and send them the onboarding flow for new subscribers. So this is a really, really, really simple example of an automation flow for drip, but you can do some pretty complicated flows. And as I continue playing with this project, I'm really looking forward to making this entire system really, really smart. Okay, so I feel like I've been talking for a while about drip. Really, really, really excited to answer any questions you might have. And you can trust that as I continue to dive into this tool, I'll be sharing everything I'm learning about drip. So the last tool I want to talk about briefly is Calendly. So let me close out of. Well, I'll keep this open. So Calendly is what I'm using for my scheduling. So I use Calendly for the interviews and also for people who want to chat after reading an interview. This is what it looks like. So I define the days that I'm available for conversation. I used to schedule interviews for all manner of days during the week. And I now have everything condensed to Thursdays and Fridays. So that between Monday to Wednesday, I can really, really focus. So on Thursdays and Fridays, between 2 to 5 p.m., anyone is able to grab an hour of my time. And this is how Calendly looks like. It's very, very easy. So someone can click 2 p.m., they can confirm, they enter their contact information, they enter this additional piece of information and schedule the event. And immediately it pops up on my calendar. And so I'm not having to send 3 to 5 emails asking, hey, can you do 5 p.m.? No. Can you do on Sunday? No. Can you do 2 a.m.? We aren't having that back and forth. Calendly makes that really, really simple. This is, so let me just want to show you the setup. What event is this? It's a 60-minute meeting. I can specify the location. I can also specify, I can also customize the URL. So I have it set up as calendly.corte/chat. I can specify the default duration. So I have this set up as 60-minute meetings. I also can specify how many days in advance people can book a meeting for. So I currently have it set up so that people can book a month in advance. I can make that more, I can make that less. Advanced settings. So if I want to show increments of 30 minutes or increments of an hour, I can do that. I can specify the maximum number of events that I'm willing to accept in a day. I can specify if I want to throw in a few minutes of buffer before after the meeting in case I need to travel to different meetings. So it's a simple, flexible, comprehensive tool. This is where I define the questions I require people to answer before they schedule. And this here is this is where I set up the invitations. So I have it set up right now so that it sends a Google Calendar invite to the person who subscribes. So that's Calendly. It's really simple, really straightforward, and this has saved me many hours when it comes to playing email tag with people who want to just grab an hour to chat. Highly recommend it. So those are pretty much all the tools. I moved pretty quickly, but please let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to go back to. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, cool. So I'm back. Hello, everyone. So I'm pretty sure I touched on everything. I touched on Calendly, I touched on Zapier, I touched on Instapage, I touched on Medium, I touched on Drip, and I touched on MailChimp very, very briefly. I didn't show you MailChimp because I'm not actually using MailChimp as a tool. All I'm using it is as a place to collect the emails and then send it over to Drip. So Andrew mentions that it looks like I can do things with a webhook integration to connect Instapage with Drip. Yes, that would have been a more elegant solution. The reason I'm not is it requires a slightly more expensive, not slightly, significantly more expensive a tier of Instapage to use webhooks for integration. So that's why I'm not doing that. So I needed to find a way to do everything on the cheapest price point for Instapage. So that's why I have that very hacky situation going on. Cool. So I think I've touched on some of the most interesting things with the different tools. And now we are the Q&A section. If you have any questions at all about any specific tool, how I think about anything, this is a great time to ask. Let me know. I'm happy to open things up. I'm happy to open things up again, to like to point out anything specifically. Also, let me also share. Give me 1 second, so I can share a number of handy tools directly, so that you will be able to. Sorry, give me 1 second. So that you will be able to get those tools to use. So I talked about Drip. Highly recommend Drip. If you're looking at email marketing, marketing automation, I mean, at this point, I think I'm being way too much of a Drip stan. But definitely check it out. It's free for the first 100 subscribers. So if you are new to email marketing, marketing automation, it's a really, really, really great way to dip your toes into the water. So I just hit share on a resource. So if you look at the top right or the bottom right, depending on your screen, you will see a handy URL that you can click through to create a Drip account. So number 2 is Instapage. Instapage is my go-to landing page creator. Really love it. It's expensive, but it's so awesome. It's so awesome. And for all the tiers, you can create an unlimited number of pages. So I'm now I now find myself thinking of ways to use the tool more for the duration in which I'm a paying Instapage customer. So it's a page really cool. Check it out. It's also free for, I believe, 14 days. So definitely check it out. Like, it will cost you nothing to start playing with it. So I just shared Instapage with you as well. Namecheap, I didn't talk about Namecheap at all, but Namecheap is my go-to tool for buying domains. Love Namecheap. Like, they are easily one of the best customer support experiences I have experienced online. Like, I'm not an expert when it comes to domain stuff at all. And I find all of their content, all of their support articles really, really simple. The team is accessible via live chat 24/7. If you're looking to buy a URL online, I cannot recommend Namecheap highly enough. So I'm sharing that right now. Medium. If you're looking to create a custom domain, Medium has a pretty comprehensive overview about that process. So when you request a custom domain, they say 24 hours. I found it was a lot faster. So within a few hours, they should have you set up. So let me know if you are interested in hearing more about using Medium as your website. I mean, I wouldn't use with Medium if I'm doing something like an e-commerce store, for example. But sorry, give me 1 second. I'm trying to talk and also read the questions at the same time. So I wouldn't recommend Medium if you are trying to do like an e-commerce store, but for a content publication, like a really, really simple way to get started. And again, you don't need to have a custom domain. You can use Medium for free for as long as you want. So Samuel says, oh, sorry. No, actually, Tessa says that he would highly recommend SiteGround for hosting. So I haven't personally used SiteGround, but if you're looking to host your website, so Tessa says he would highly recommend SiteGround. So definitely check that out, and let me know what your experience is like. I'm deeply curious. So SiteGround for Tessa. So SiteGround, literally SiteGround for which is Teresa's recommendation for hosting. So if you are looking to do an e-commerce store, Andrew wants me to let you guys know that Squarespace is a great example for that. So say all you want is you want www.emmanuelstore.com and you want a really, really simple way to get that set up. You would first buy emmanuelstore.com from Namecheap, and then if you wanted to actually set up the website itself, use Squarespace. That's a really popular one that many people use. So Squarespace is exactly like it sounds, like square. It's a square and then space. So squarespace.com. It's a great one to use. I don't. So anyone can use Squarespace. I don't know if anyone can use Shopify. Shopify might be limited to your geography. But if you are able to access Shopify, Shopify is another great tool for getting set up with an e-commerce store really, really quickly. So actually, retail is an area that I will be talking about a lot in the next few stories for the Flint. I have some pretty exciting stories lined up, all about selling on the internet and about how people in Ghana are doing that in interesting ways. So definitely be on the lookout for a lot more conversation around retail. Teresa continues to give props to SiteGround. He says the customer support experience for SiteGround is amazing. So if you are trying to host your website, definitely check out SiteGround. I mean, one of the things I look out for my tools is amazing customer support, because something will break or you might be confused about something, and that is when you need someone who's able to answer your question really, really quickly. So I will drop it doesn't matter how amazing your tool is. If your customer support is bad, I will either drop you entirely or I will find a less powerful tool that has an amazing customer support. That's one of the reasons why I'm using Demio versus for this webinar versus other webinar tools, because Demio's customer support is amazing. So shout out to SiteGround for hosting. Upscribe. This is the URL for Upscribe. If you are using Medium and you want to collect email addresses really quickly, highly recommend Upscribe. And finally, MailChimp. So I have a lot of thoughts about MailChimp, and I'll probably do a complete story about MailChimp. I used to be a huge MailChimp fan. Very sorry to say that I'm less of a fan. It's still a really great rock solid tool. But as I wanted more for my email marketing, I found that I personally found MailChimp a little heavy for my needs, whereas I find Drip just really responsive. The customer support team is amazing. But if you're looking for a first email marketing solution, highly recommend MailChimp. So because one big reason is MailChimp will let you manage up to 2,000 subscribers for free. I don't think anyone else lets you do that. So Drip caps out at a 100. MailChimp will let you send email to 2,000 people for free. So if you've never ever done anything with email marketing, please absolutely cut your teeth on MailChimp. It will teach you the ropes. Cool. So I'm pretty sure I've shared all the links. Again, you'll find those links in the top right or top left. Nope. Sorry, in the top right or bottom right part of your screen. Let me know if you have any more questions. So I'm trying to not let this call go for longer than an hour. Although I'm definitely happy to stay here for as long as you need me to. But for the next few minutes, please go ahead and throw your questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Trying to think through, is there anything else I forgot to explain? Because there are a number of things I promised. Sorry, let me quickly look through okay, I talked about, okay. So why did I decide to why did I decide to go with the Flint.io versus the Flint.com or the Flint.net? Okay, so I mean this kind of goes into the bigger idea behind the Flint. And so something that matters a lot to me is having everyone, both us as well as everyone else in the world, begin to associate the words technology and Africa together. Because right now, I would argue that if you say the word Africa, technology isn't necessarily like one of the words that come to mind, right? So the reason I went with IO is amongst like techie startup circles, like .io tends to be like a quintessential startup-y type domain, and I wanted someone to see the URL and not necessarily immediately know that this was something about Africa, right? But they would come and they would see like a high caliber content, high quality writing, but still within a tradition of, well, I wouldn't say best practice, but like within a tradition of the way things are done on the internet. So like that was my reason for going with a .io. I think for a certain kind of person, .io signals startup, signals tech, and that's definitely an affiliation I wanted with the Flint and for Africa. So that's why I went with .io. Was there anything else I promised to touch on? I think that's pretty much it. Cool. Well, so just one more shout out. So Teresa also runs a business blog called mynigernaira.com. I haven't checked it out, but just as a thank you for being so engaged, I'm gonna throw out a shout out to Teresa's blog. So definitely check it out. Again, it's mynigernaira.com. I'll actually check it out right now. Okay, well after the call. Cool. So I think that's pretty much it. So all we've done today is like open up the different tools. And I hope one big takeaway for you guys is that this stuff isn't hard. Like this stuff isn't like rocket science or brain surgery. Like really, really simple tools. And all it takes is just taking a 30 minutes to an hour to just play around, make mistakes, just throw yourself at it, and just make mistakes, honestly, and through that process you begin to get a sense of how these tools can help your business or your project. And I firmly like every single project could be improved and made better and made even more successful with these very, very simple tools. Once again, thank you so much for staying with me for an hour. I still cannot believe how many people registered and how many people turned up. I'll be sending a follow-up email with a recording of this webinar. Also, I'll be sending like a little survey about what went great, what didn't go so great. If my mic wasn't working, let me know because I have no idea right now. If I was talking too quickly, I was probably talking way too quickly. But like feedback, whether or not I continue doing the live calls really depends on whether or not you guys find it useful. So definitely let me know how I can improve. And I'm very, 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 very keen on feedback. Like feedback is like really important to me. I don't know if you guys can see this, but right over here. Okay. So you see this little poster. I got it from Facebook F8, the Facebook Developer Conference a few years ago, and it says, I don't know if you can see, it says, feedback is a gift. It also says nothing at Facebook is someone else's problem, but the more important one is feedback is a gift. So I believe that, Kimi. So I'm really, really interested in hearing your feedback on how this call went and everything else regarding the Flint. Once again, I'm Emmanuel. If you are not a subscriber yet to the Flint, you can check it out at subscribe.theflint.io. Once again, it's subscribe.theflint.io. Have a fantastic day, and thank you so much.